lot has happened this week. I don't have my normal camera set up right now. This is just shot from my phone. So if the quality takes a dip or anything like that, I apologize. I haven't been feeling well, but still gotta talk about Deadpool. This is a spoiler-free review. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't have to worry about me spoiling anything in the movie. This is the third Deadpool movie, but it's also the first and only Deadpool movie in the Marvel Universe. And that's one of the elements of the movie that I felt made it a bit over convoluted. I feel like there's a few different things that this movie is trying to do. It felt like it was doing too much. Ryan Reynolds is still as good as Deadpool as he's been in the last two. My only complaint in this movie is a lot of his jokes don't land. Like, a lot of the humor in this movie doesn't land. It feels like the comedy is worse in this Deadpool than it's been in the last two. One of my complaints about Deadpool 2 was how it recycled jokes and recycled things from the first movie. This one doesn't do any of that. This one doesn't retread any of the first two movies. In fact, it almost erases the previous two. It's showing me more of the problems from MCU. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, so I won't say it, but there's only one real reoccurring character from the second movie. Everyone else who shows back up, it feels like a going away party. Like that one scene where it's Wade's birthday or whatever. That feels more like a going away party than anything, because everybody from the first two movies more or less gets sidelined with them telling the story that they told. I understand that, but the Deadpool movies were this self-contained thing with maybe a couple references to the X-Men or even MCU characters. But for the most part, Deadpool has always been a standalone thing. This movie, especially being made by Marvel, it feels more general MCU than what Deadpool used to be. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is always going to be good no matter what interpretation of that Wolverine they put. The trailer leads it up to there's a huge revelation. By the end of the movie, that thread, it just felt a little underwhelming by the time you get that reveal. I'll go into more detail in my spoiler talk, but everything else dealing with Wolverine in this movie was a great homage to the character. I still feel that it respected everything about the character that came before it. I was just thinking about a joke in the movie. This movie has its fair share of cameos. I'll just say that because it might be a spoiler. They definitely go further than a cameo than I thought they would go. What the hell, Ayla? They served the movie as being just more than a cameo, definitely. And part of the movie almost got me choked up. Just when I think back on, how far we've come with these Marvel movies and stuff like that. So I thought that part was executed great. If the Loki stuff justified being there, I'm completely fine with it. I won't bring up the questions that I have. You can call it nostalgia, you can call it whatever you want, but that part of the movie, once it got there, for me, that's where the movie actually kind of kicked in. The main villain of the movie, I guess, but she was good. She plays Charles Xavier's sister. Power's cool, I like it, but I'm so paranoid about AI nowadays. Talking about the main characters in this movie is pretty easy because there's really only three. That being Deadpool, Wolverine, and Xavier's sister. Everybody else serves as pretty much a cameo, except for the one TVA. Except for that one TVA agent. Fuck was his name? None of his shit worked. In fact, I think the movie spent a little bit too much time on him. In almost every scene he's in, the movie quality drops. And I only say that because he's in quite a bit of this movie, which is gonna bring me to another complaint that I have with this movie is I feel like this Deadpool movie is the one that shut Deadpool up the most. I feel like by the end of the movie, almost everybody, including cameos, have more lines than Deadpool. This isn't a bad movie. I'm almost surprised about how disappointed I really was by the end of it. This isn't a spoiler. There's a couple of parts where Deadpool makes references to this movie being the longest out of all the Deadpool movies. Towards the end of the movie, Deadpool turns to the camera and says, "We're almost there. We're almost finished." That's how I felt. At a certain point, I was just ready for the movie to end because it felt like they didn't necessarily have anything besides the cameos and the fact that Hugh Jackman came back as Wolverine. It didn't feel like Deadpool 3 had anything to do. Instead of this being like the third Deadpool movie, this feels like a sneaky MCU property. This feels more like the MCU stepping in the way of everything that Fox set up or had going. Because of that, this, in my opinion, and it weirds me to say it just because of everything that does happen in the movie, but in my opinion, this is probably the worst of the Deadpool movies. It's still better than any MCU movie after Endgame or any MCU property after Endgame. And it's far from being a piece of shit. And I definitely still enjoyed the movie. Even for now, I'm gonna give Deadpool 3, if I did halves, then I'd probably give it 6.5. But I can give Deadpool 3 a 7 out of 10. Be sure to check out my spoiler talk video, where I will be going into more detail. I'm going to take a nap now. Alright,
I said empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water.